Hey everybody! That's not my pet goose. That is a stuffed goose that I have here in the cave. Adam Savage here in my cave, and I am answering questions today submitted by tested patrons on the subject of a little show I used to make called Mythbusters. And today's question is, Michael Roberts wants to know, when you hear the phrase, the one that got away, what comes to mind? Oh, Mike, I have an answer for you. There was a whole host of hunting and tracking myths that I had always wanted to try on the show. The idea that trackers could find people by putting their ear to the ground. Ear to the ground was one story we never did. Oh, I really wished we had. It's actually really cool because sound travels faster through rock than through the air. And so it is true. You can hear and sometimes identify how many people might be coming. There are these Native American trackers in the Southwest that had actually agreed to work with us, but it was a very difficult story to tell, and it was going to cost a lot, and I think the network didn't have faith that it was going to be thrilling enough, which is, that happens, that's fine. But there's also some really cool hunting myths, and there's a story that I believe is attributed to Native Americans, which is that Native Americans who wanted to hunt birds would start by, in one specific location, would float pumpkins out onto a pond on which ducks would land and get the ducks used to pumpkins floating around. Why? Well, because when one of those Native Americans wanted to go hunting the ducks, they would simply take a pumpkin, carve out a bottom, put two eye holes in it, put it over their head, and swim out into the lake wearing this pumpkin head, and the birds, which were used to pumpkins floating around, wouldn't even notice. And actually, a friend of mine who is a hunter who tried this, he said, oh yeah, he said, you can... My friend talks a little like Bill Murray, and I'm going to do a terrible impression of him. Oh yeah, he says, you can get right up to him. Yeah, they don't even look at you. And you can, like, he said, you can grab them by the feet and pull them under, boop, and the other ducks, he said, won't even notice. This was not how we were going to do it on the show. Just to be clear, we were going to work out a methodology that would not harm any of the birds. But I find his image of the duck going, boop, and the other ducks like not even noticing. Freaking hilarious. This was a story that I've wanted to do for years and years and years. And in the last season of the show, we actually went fairly far down the path towards filming that. In fact, I not only made a pumpkin head that I could wear and swim with and be neutrally buoyant, but I also made a remote control pumpkin camera. I took a boat and I took it apart and put the propeller on a floating foam pumpkin and had a camera inside, GoPros looking, I think, in 2 or 3 directions so you could drive it around, and it was almost totally silent. Oh yeah, no, we had this whole thing worked out. Unfortunately, we had to scrap the story. It was a location shoot, and really it was during the last few weeks of the last season. So this is the fall of 2015. Yeah, wow, 5 years ago now. It's the fall of 2015 that we were running out of space to film all the episodes we had to film. And we had this call to make, which frequently got made, of like, well, between this story and that story, it's got to be this story. Between this piece and that piece, between this location and that location. Sometimes it wasn't about the story itself. It was about how that story fit in with the rest of our production. And I think that's very specifically where this one went. Is it was not a fat enough story. And, oh, yeah, now I remember it. What had happened was we were filming an episode in which something happened we did not expect, and it was so spectacular, it added like 15 minutes to the episode. I wish I could remember what it was. It might have been tanker car implosion, because that's one where that story was way fatter than we intended, because it was way more difficult than we knew to get a tanker car to implode. But because of the extra footage we got from the thing going wrong, we had to toss one of our lightweight, not even a B story, like a C story. And that was this pumpkin head hunting myth. I still want to test it. someday I might. Even if I test it in the future, I still won't harm any ducks. Don't get me wrong, they're delicious, but I'm not going to personally harm any of them. Sorry, that just reminds me of a lot of people wonder what Jamie's sense of humor is truly like. And the thing that you should know about Jamie is that his sense of humor is way darker than you might think it is. But when you think about it, you realize, yeah, no, that's a dude with a dark sense of humor. And the thing was that he never was funny to get the laugh. He would just say something funny because he knew it was funny. But he didn't really care about getting a laugh. So that meant sometimes he would say things and they were so surpassingly funny, you like almost couldn't breathe. And one of them happened when we were filming with ducks in the very first season. We were doing Ducks Quack Won't Echo. And we're in this pen full of like 1,500 baby ducks, which is like a cuteness carpet, man. And they're walking around everywhere. And Jamie, who grew up on a farm and was always our like animal expert. Look, we hired experts, but Jamie was also, oh yeah, I rode a horse. Oh, we had cows. Yeah. So, you know, we would trust the things he would say. And he turns to us at some point. He's walking through this cute carpet of baby ducks. And he goes, no, don't let their looks fool you. They're actually quite dangerous. And that laugh is how I will wrap this up. Thank you so much for that awesome question. Yeah, duck hunting is the one that got away from me. And like I said, someday I may do it. Tested patrons, keep submitting your questions. And everybody, I will keep answering them in this format. Thank you so much. And I will see you next time. Stay safe.